Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to once again share one or two things with you. Um, it's the 10th year of my practice as an alternative medicine practitioner, and it's been so much joy looking back and seeing what goodness the Lord has granted to be done in the lives of individuals who have crossed my path. Okay, and I remain eternally grateful to the light for it. And on behalf of those who have been able to impart measures of healing grace and mercy to, as well as on myself, on behalf of them and myself, I say thank you to the Most High for all His goodness and His mercy, His guiding wisdom. He's taking charge of providence healing and having brought things this far. And still yet, we are just at the beginning of what really should be the things that ought to be happening at this point in time in Alexillia Healing Services. All right. Actually, it's been 10 years of practicing publicly. However, it actually started far beyond 2013. A few years after I had graduated from school, where as soon as it was made clear to me that my path is not what I have studied, but something spiritual, and the spirituality involved in it was made clear enough to me, I was also made to know that I've been created with healing powers, which is meant for a time of this earth, as would revolutionize a whole lot of things, which I myself, I was not aware of as of that time. But as time went on, I began to see myself in arts of healing, undertaking arts of healing. I began to feel myself a vessel of reception and transmission of healing energies. And I knew there was no doubt that this is true, that I am gifted with the ability to heal by way of transmission of healing energies. That was what I knew at that time, which we, in our own way, call magnetopathy. As time went on, I had an encounter, and shortly after I had spoken to this naturopath, I had an inner transformation and movement within me, which once again saw me go through a year plus spiritual tutelage about healing with herbs. Every night the visions come. 1, 2, or 3 visions will come each night, sometimes even 4 or 5, telling me about herbs and how they are to be used. And this was based on a book I borrowed from this naturopath. And they were using the pictures of the book to actually tell me what I could do with herbs as being described. And in most cases, they were not exactly as was written, but a whole lot of things that were written in those books were confirmed. But that when I want to use these herbs, I should use them in this manner. And in due time, I came to know that in addition to being able to transmit healing radiations, there is also another type of healing, a different kind of gift that has to do with being able to heal with herbs. That it's not like the other one, and the one of being able to heal with herbs have been added to that very first one. At that point in time, I knew I was doubly gifted, and I went back to this naturopath and said, this is what it is with me, and I think I'm ready to use my gift. And they said, okay, as soon as I have a patient I can spare, I'll see what you can do. Then someday I came, and he said there is an HIV patient who's now bedridden. They brought her back. She's now bedridden. Because she's bedridden, they brought her back to him. And can my gift do anything for her? I said, I'm very much ready. That as a matter of fact, not long ago I was directed on what to do with HIV. And he said, okay, let's see what you can do with HIV. And it was an 8-week healing period. I used both the herb as I was directed, as well as spiritual healing, transmission healing on her. The bedridden patient started to walk 6 weeks. By the 7th week, she could come from her home to this place, almost, should I say, almost a 15 to 20 kilometer journey, using public transport. And by the 8th week, all the rashes, everything was cleared. And I now let her know that we really need to go and substantiate this healing before the government. And we also need to substantiate how well the healing has gone. But unfortunately, she denied that she had HIV and that she should not be disturbed. Nevertheless, I brought the case before the federal government through its agency, the Nigerian Natural Medicine Research Council. I think that's the name in Article E. I'm not so sure what it's called now, what its real name is. And I was asked to write a formal proposal to that effect, which I did, and I was never called back. I made a couple of individuals, high-profile individuals, to that regard, but when they heard that it's based on a gift that is spiritually backed, they felt that it will not go into the market because people will think they are being coerced into a kind of faith, and which cannot be scientifically backed up. And that was how it was, and I decided to go my way. Then shortly after that, I fell into a mild depression, and not knowing what led to it. It was a kind of sobriety, and I found myself lacking the will to move forward as a healer. I didn't really feel disappointed based on the rejections I had with the government and the high-profile individuals I met. But it came all of a sudden, and I could not explain it. At the point, I began to feel I had been cast, and that became my final conclusion, that probably because I came out and forces are against me. So I decided to take it up spiritually, that if I could do this, I should be able to have some measure of impact in respect to deliverance healing as well. And so I started to pray and fast, and at a point I realized I was dealing with something much more than being just, that being diabolically oppressed. I found myself being exposed to a world of cosmic darkness, where under guidance I was being impelled to get to understand the world of darkness. And not just to understand the world of darkness, but to also be able to recognize the entities that play out themselves in this world of darkness, and how the human beings on earth connect with them and make use of them, and even produce them. That's when it comes to diabolical witchcraft. And so this went through a period of 7 years, and at the end of it, I knew I was ready to come out again. And that was 2013 was the end of that 7 years, and I came out. I inherited a space that was used by my father, who was living in the country for the US, and I started off my healing practice there. Okay, so the first year was very funny because nobody actually came into the place. I printed my flyers and so many other things, but no one actually came. I think it was just one old lady or two of them that came in, and they made requests I could not meet. And one thing led to the other, and I felt I was going to give up this healing thing, and I was doing more to probably trying to go back to what I studied in the university, and probably some measure of see how I could make use of qualities to impact the lives of people. and the politics, the political aspect of it was ruled out by my spiritual guides. And I was asked to wait, that I should not close down the clinic, that I should wait. And barely 2 months into that, receiving that guidance, my first patient came. Somebody who met me on Facebook and had a dying brother whom medical diagnosis had gotten to a point of not being able to take care of him, and it's more like you just go and let things take care of themselves at home. He was half dead, half human, half living, half dead. But immediately the patient came, I was able to identify that the soul was withdrawn from the body, in addition to the medical problems he had, and through the grace of God, that's history. Then I became more agitated for more patients, and within the period of about 3 months interval, the next of patients came. It's never been like that till today. But it's been really not just enterprising, because if you look at it from the entrepreneur point of view, not much has been really accomplished. But really engaging that I can say as much as over 150 people within this 10-year period have been handled of spiritual problems with very little or no failures. I think I would rather say incomplete cases. Then probably 3 or 4 or 5 incomplete cases out of about 170 something, not actually 50, 170 something. Then we have the medical cases as well. Some people are treated both of spiritual issues as well as medical issues, and some people are purely of medical issues, others are purely of spiritual issues. So altogether, it's been amazing. And for that, one is eternally grateful to the light. And it got as far as having to present one of my remedies, or 2 of my remedies for the COVID-19 when it struck. But unfortunately, the failure of the Madagascar formula compelled the federal government to send us to NAFDAC. And when I got to NAFDAC, I was asked to go and have a factory established with standard procedural processes, which ran into tens, if not hundreds of millions, and that was the end of the case. But the remedy is still with me, and people were, 1 or 2 or 3 people were able to approach me from across the country to buy the remedies, and they did use it, and they did respond positively to it in all cases. All right, so I still have the formula and the remedy with me. My application got to the table of I believe the Secretary of the Federal Government, but was not processed as a result of the order that came from the presidency itself. That's from the president of the country, and so we were all directed to NAFDAC. All right, and so it's been really, really challenging, and at the same time full of gratitude for accomplishments, and there's no stopping this endeavor, come what may. All right, and at this point in time, I have once again brought at my feet to handle HIV as it is, and so far I have had almost close to 20 persons who have taken the remedy, and it's been, for me, it's been a success all the way through, despite 1 or 2 complaints here that could not be substantiated, and so had to be ruled out of the picture. And I am following that up very vigorously, and as soon as enough funds can be gathered for it, definitely the production process, as we allow the remedy to be produced and made accessible to all and sundry without being extemporaneously administered, will be initiated. Until then, the remedy is still being extemporaneously administered. Okay. And so, so far so good. I just felt I shared a little of the story with you, and also ask you to not give up hope. Those of you who still believe that you can find access to this or that healing aid, not to give up hope. God is still there. It all depends on how well you are able to find Him. And let me apologize for the shaking video. I'm using a tripod stand, which I am holding, and so the instability of my hand actually affects the stability of the camera. Thank you very much.